Same progression, completely different world. If your minor 2-5-1s still sound like the same two voicings you learnt years ago, your hands still going to the same shapes every time you open Autumn Leaves or Blue Bossa, you're going to want to stick around, because today I'm going to show you 10 ways to play the minor 2-5-1 on jazz guitar. We're starting with the simplest possible voicings and ending with the kind of lush modern reharmonisations that make other guitarists turn around and go, "What was that?" And to make it easy to practice, I've put every single voicing from this lesson into a free PDF with chord diagrams. Link is in the description below. Pause the video, grab it now and follow along on your guitar as we go through each example. It will make this lesson 10 times more useful. Hi, welcome back to the green room. So the minor 2-5-1, the darker, more mysterious cousin of the major 2-5-1, and honestly one of the most beautiful sounds in all of jazz. You hear it everywhere: Alone Together, Beautiful Love, and many more. Once you start listening for it, you can't unhear it. But here's the mistake I see all the time, and I'll be honest, I made this mistake myself for years. Players learn one or two shapes and then play the same voicings every time the progression comes around. Same shapes, same frets, same emotion. The harmony stops being a colour and just becomes a shape. So today we're fixing that. For everything in this lesson I'm staying in C minor. So D minor 7 flat 5, G7 and C minor. We'll start with stripped back shell voicings, and by the end of the video you'll be playing modern reharmonisations that sound like something off a jazz record. If you haven't already, pause and grab the free PDF in the description. Coffee, guitar, let's go. The first thing I always recommend, and what I wish someone had taught me right at the very beginning, is shell voicings. Stripped back, almost minimal, just the root, third and seventh. The three notes that actually define the harmony. D minor 7, G7, C minor 6. That's the root, third and sixth. Now I know they sound simple, but this is what every great jazz pianist does. They let the bass take care of the root and play just the essential tones, and they leave space. So let's start here. Get the harmony into your ears in its simplest form first. And if you ever find yourself playing in a big band, shells are your go-to. Freddie Green comped behind Count Basie's orchestra for nearly 50 years on 2 or 3 notes, no amplifier, and still drove the whole band forward. Let's fatten things up. Drop 2 voicings. These are 4-note voicings which feel great under the fingers. D minor 7 flat 5, G7 flat 9. I'm using a D diminished chord for the G7 flat 9, containing the 5th, flat 9, 3rd and 7th, no root. This is a common substitution I'll be using in the next couple of examples as well. The final chord I've gone for a plain triad because I felt it's all it needed. Simple but effective. Suddenly the progression sounds fuller and more pianistic. These are the voicings I reach for most when I'm playing in a trio. They sit right in the middle register without stepping on the bass player. Drop 3. And this is where the sound really opens up with a much wider spread between the bass and chords. D minor 7 flat 5, G7 flat 9, C minor 6. Hear the difference? The bass movement is much more obvious as it's more separated from the chord. The progression starts to sound more like a piano arrangement than a guitar one. On nylon string especially, you get this really full resonant sound. These are my go-to for solo guitar arrangements and ballads. If you're working on chord melody, Drop 3 is pretty much non-negotiable. This is where things start getting genuinely modern. Drop 2 and 4 voicings. There's space inside these chords, that wide open harmonic texture. Instead of everything sitting compact, the result sounds completely different to anything we've played so far. D minor 7 flat 5, G7 flat 9, C minor 6. These work really well in chord melody arrangement where you want more separation, and if you arpeggiate them finger style, they sound fantastic. The spread between the notes really comes to life that way. And if you think that sounds modern, wait until we get to number 10. Okay, we're halfway through, and from here the ideas get progressively more interesting. Up to now, we've been thinking vertically, different ways to arrange the same chord tones. At this point, we're going to start thinking in a completely different way. And this is honestly where your comping starts to sound like you rather than just a series of shapes. First up, thinking melodically. Watch what happens when we shape a chromatic ascending line across the progression. D minor 7 flat 5, G7 sharp 11, C minor 6 9. It doesn't just sound like comping anymore, it sounds arranged, and this is what every great accompanist does. Listen to players like Jim Hall and Ed Bickett. They don't just play chords, they shape lines. The chord just happens to live underneath. This single concept will do more for your comping than almost anything else in this video. Right, now for my favourite voicing. Over the 2 chord, instead of just a D minor 7 flat 5, we're going to add the natural 9. So we'll replace the 3rd with the natural 9 and get D minor 7 flat 5 natural 9, G13 flat 9, C minor 6 9. The natural 9 on the half diminished chord is one of those sounds. It just lifts the whole progression. Dark but warm, sophisticated but still vulnerable. This is exactly the kind of colour Bill Evans would reach for on a minor 2-5-1 progression. And that minor 6-9 resolution at the end is one of my favourite sounds in jazz. If you're on a nylon string like I am, this next one might be the idea that surprises you most. We start incorporating open strings into the harmony. D minor 7 flat 5, G13 flat 9, C minor major 13. Those ring overtones make the guitar sound twice as big. There's a Brazilian almost classical influence, think Baden-Powell or Luis Bonfá. That atmospheric, spacious quality is entirely down to those open strings. These voicings are perfect for slow tunes, rubato intros, or solo guitar pieces when you want the harmony to ring and breathe. Quick note though, these only work in specific keys because they rely on those open strings. So I've written them out exactly in the PDF. Link in the description if you haven't grabbed it already. This is where we go properly modern. Quartal harmony. Chords built in fourths instead of thirds is what gives so much modern jazz that ambiguous post-bop sound. McCoy Tyner essentially defined this language in the early 60s. Listen to his playing on Coltrane's My Favourite Things or A Love Supreme. Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock both took it further from there. But here's the trick, we're combining quartal voicings with an ascending melody on top. D minor 11, G13 flat 9 slash F, C minor 6 slash G. That middle chord, by the way, has no root and is essentially F diminished major 7 or E major triad with an F in the bass. That chord has a tritone, F to B, which is one of the most tense intervals in music. Add in the fact there's no root and you get that slightly unsettled floating sound. The top note ascends, the harmony underneath is built mainly in fourths, and the result sounds completely contemporary. Other guitarists notice when you use this. This is honestly one of the most useful ideas in this whole video and the one most players overlook. You know those players who look uncomfortable when they're comping, constantly jumping all over the neck, searching for the next shape? This is what fixes that. Instead of jumping around, we keep one general hand position and move it through inversions. D minor 7 flat 5 slash F, G7 slash F, C minor major 7 slash E flat. See how little the hand moves? Each chord sits within a couple of frets of the last one. The voice leading is smooth. Each chord just flows into the next. Great comping isn't about adding more movement, it's about minimizing it. And when you get that, the fretboard stops feeling like a series of disconnected shapes and starts feeling like one continuous idea. As a bonus, we can also move the shape down to fret 2 for a root inversion C minor 6, which has exactly the same shape as our D minor 7 flat 5 slash F. Okay, final one, and honestly, this one's special. Over the 2 chord, instead of D minor 7 flat 5, we substitute A flat major 7 sharp 11. Then we go to a G7 sharp 5, followed by a C minor major 7 slash G. Technically, that A flat major 7 sharp 11 is functioning as a D minor 11 with a flat 5 in the bass and no third. But let's not get too theory heavy. That sound is dark, modern, rich. You still get the full function of a minor 251, the tension and the resolution, but the colour is completely transformed. Here's what I want you to do. Don't just watch this video and move on. Don't just memorise shapes. Pick one progression, just one, and live with it for a week. Use it on a tune. Hear what it does emotionally. Make it part of your vocabulary. Because jazz harmony isn't really about knowing more shapes. It's about knowing which colour to reach for in the moment. Which feeling matches the music. And to help you do exactly that, I've written out every single progression from this lesson into a free PDF with chord diagrams for every example. It's totally free. The link's in the description, just grab it. Print it out, stick it on your music stand and actually practice these progressions, because that's where the real transformation happens. If you'd like a follow-up lesson on minor 251 lines for improvisation, drop a comment and let me know which one you want next. And I'll see you next time in the green room.